Good afternoon and welcome to the Rotary Club of Fort Worth. It's a beautiful day in town, a little cool, but it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Today we start our meeting with an invocation by Troy Higgins, branch manager Morgan Stanley, followed by the national anthem played by Calvin Dennis, business performance advisor Insperity. Troy?
Thank you, Ann. Good afternoon, everyone. Let's bow our head and go to our Father. Heavenly Father, we come before you today with hearts full of gratitude. Thank you for gathering us here safely and for the opportunity to be together. We ask for your presence in our midst, guide our thoughts, our words, and actions. Bless this time we have, and may everything we do bring honor and glory to your name. Amen.
Thank you, Troy and Calvin. And speaking of Christmas, on your tables today are some holiday cards for the sailors serving on the USS Fort Worth. Today is our last opportunity to send holiday greetings to the sailors, so please take a few minutes to write a note of thanks and best wishes, then leave the cards on your table. To welcome our visitors today is Serena Oliver, co-founder Move USA. Serena?
Fellow Rotarian and friends, it's an honor to introduce special guests who has joined us today. The first one is Brian Ritchie, guest of Ann Sade. Next is Lynn Downing, guest of Michelle Krim. David Farrell, guest of Cheryl Harding. Carol Crozet, guest of Chris Harris. Steven Gonzalez, J.R. Labby, Chris Ludari, Paul Hanaway are the guests of Shana Sondaya, Joe Cortez, guest of Linda Lopez. Glenn Oliver, guest of myself, Serena Oliver. Carter Stem, guest of Ryan Percy. Andre Johnson, guest of Rosa Verdesa. Carl Alsaba, guest of Evan Eastman. And last but not least is Kim Len, guest of Style Hall. Thank you.
Thank you, Serena. And we have one other guest, Charles Alspa from the Louisville Club, who has a banner presentation. Thank you, Charles. I'm glad you're here. Thank you. It's now time for our four-way test. Please join me. Number 1, is it the truth? Number 2, is it fair to all concerned? Number 3, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And number 4, will it be beneficial to all concerned? And speaking of being beneficial to all concerned, if you attended our meeting just before Thanksgiving, you heard Philanthropy Committee Chairman Brenda Beveridge introduce our four-way donor initiative. Yesterday, we sent a very personal letter to each of you summarizing this new initiative and asking for your participation. A gift through this program will indeed be very beneficial to all concerned. This is the season of giving, and I hope you will join me in making a commitment to the four-way donor initiative, giving to 4 of our Rotary charitable programs. Locally, we have 3 opportunities: the Children's Fund, the Endowment Fund, and the Veterans Fund. Through Rotary International, there is the annual Share Fund and the Polio Plus Fund. We're asking for a contribution to 4 of these 5s to continue to fund projects both locally and internationally. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, I have lots of organizations asking for donations. It was just Giving Tuesday, and even Rotary asked for a contribution with my dues. All that's true. But what else is true is that as a club, we have a very positive reputation in this community for our grants program. Just this year, we had 39 applications asking for more than $440,000, and we were able to fund just 14 of them for $88,500. So the need is obvious. We've got to increase our endowments so we can help more people. Any gift you made through your dues renewal also counts as part of the four-way donor initiative. And today, I'm very excited to announce to you that one of our club members has given us a challenge grant. He will match dollar for dollar gifts up to a total of $10,000 for the four-way donor initiative. So, there are donation forms on the table, and I hope you will consider a gift of $250, maybe more, maybe less, whatever is significant to you. If you have questions, there's several people who have asked me about the four-way donor initiative, badges on. You can ask any of them, anyone on the philanthropy committee, or see Aurora after our meeting. And if you're undecided, check your email from yesterday. This is an opportunity for us as a club to live up to our motto of service above self. Thank you, and a special thanks to our anonymous donor with the matching grant of $10,000. All right. Next, we have several announcements. First, our golf tournament chairman, James Emmons, is here with an announcement about the final results of the golf tournament, and he has a little something to present to the James L. West Center. James.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to kind of give you a little overview of our event and the success of that event. So not only was it a fun time and a great opportunity for people to get to know Rotarians, but it was a great time for other people to come around and have just a great time on the golf course. But I have to tell you, we had a great team, great committee, and great people helping us make that happen. And for a lot of you that participate in a lot of different enterprises, you know that it takes a team to make this happen. First, I need to recognize the Audubon Group. Without them, we wouldn't have been as successful as we have been. So they deserve a big hand. We have a few people here today that we'll introduce, and that you already know, a couple of them, but they participated on the committee too, not just one person, but 3 or 4. So that was a great help to us. But, and I've had several people that participated in the tournament that have gone out of their way to send me emails as well as call me and let me know how much fun they had. And I don't mean just Rotarians, other people that are outside our realm of membership. So it's been a great asset for that. But we raised a little over $78,000 total. We had 120 players, so it was a great thing. Out of all of that, the expenses, after expenses, we were able to net just a hair over $40,000, which, by the way, that's a lot of money. And that is going to go to the veterans at the James L. West Center for Dementia Care, which the best thing about this for me, not only is I get to kind of participate with all the Rotarians in here as well as others, but we had an impact here. This is an impact. And we talk about service over self. This is truly an impact. We're going to help the James L. West continue to serve those veterans who need the care. Some more than others, but it's a great thing. So all of you should be very proud to be a member of Rotary of Fort Worth today. Thank you. What are we going to do?
You ready? Huh? Get ready? We'll call them up.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to do what I'm told, best I can. We would like to present this to Cheryl Harding. She's President, CEO of James L. West Center for Dementia Care, and David Farrell. Pardon me? VP of Development. He's a new member of their team. So anyway, we're going to do that today with a check presentation. Again, you guys, this is a big deal. Thank you, Ann. I'm going to ask that Zoran Gutik come up and Chad Johnston. Did we get Amy today? No, Amy? Well, Autobahn team, this is just two members of the team, and all of y'all may know Zoran, he's a Rotarian. So the others are working. Continue to, they can come here. Here we go. Come on.
Wait for the check. And here's the check for $40,000.
Are we going to squeeze? Thank you. Thank you all. By the way, this tournament was so successful this year, it's my opinion we can double this for next year. And we haven't decided who the cause is going to be, but it's y'all get on the committee because we need plenty of new members and we need some help along the way there. So, and all of y'all participate and come out and enjoy the time. Next year will be a big time. Thanks again.
Thank you, James. Thank you, James, and a special thanks to all of you who either participated on the committee, were sponsors in some way, were a whole sponsor or a team sponsor. We really appreciate your participation. Next up is Rosa Berdeja, Principal Attorney, Law Office of Rosa Marie Berdeja, and Chairman of the 2026 Richard L. Knight Rotary Minority Business Awards. Rosa, tell us the latest on the RMBA.
Thank you, Madam President. As you all know, the Richard L. Knight Rotary Minority Business Awards recognize minority-owned businesses that have demonstrated the core elements of our Rotary four-way test through their leadership, community engagement, and outstanding business practices in Fort Worth. I'm happy to share that nominations are now open, so please consider nominating a Fort Worth minority-owned business worthy of this recognition. Additionally, the committee is thrilled to share that we are expanding the awards program to include a new category, Emerging Minority Leader. This category seeks to recognize and honor an outstanding emerging minority leader between the ages of 21 and 35 who has demonstrated exceptional leadership, innovation, and commitment within their professional field and community. This new category will help inspire and uplift young professionals while emphasizing the importance of leadership in our business community. Nominations for this category will open soon. Please be on the lookout for that in the rotograph. Additionally, I would like to share that we have secured this year's presenting sponsor for our awards luncheon, and this is Benson Varghese, our last year top winner of the awards. So let's give a round of applause to Varghese Somerset. And I also want to express my gratitude to all of our other sponsors for sponsoring these awards, and you will see those sponsors on the screen. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Rosa, and thanks to all the members of the RMBA committee. And be sure and get those recommendations and nominations in for both the Business Awards and the Emerging Leader Award. Next up, one of my favorite events of the year is almost here, the We Care program for the Boys and Girls Club in partnership with WRG Texas. Here to give us some last-minute instructions is Russell Jacobson, Financial Planning Advisor, Astoria Strategic Wealth, and a member of the Community Service Committee. Russell.
Thank you very much. Like she said, I'm a part of the Community Service Committee that we have, and it's a common theme to hear that this is one of people's favorite events. I love everything that we do for the community, but this is by far the most rewarding thing that we do. It's coming up on Tuesday, December 9th. It's from 3 to 7, and we partner with Greg Carter and WRG, put it on for the Boys and Girls Club of the greater Tarrant County. It's over there in the southeast side of Fort Worth. What we really do is we get together, there's a bunch of craft tables for all the kids. We have our own table where they get to go and they get to make things and show that it's better to make something and give it than to receive it yourself. They do get some things for themselves as well, so it's just a great event all around. What we're really needing help with right now is carolers. We need 3 of them, and I've stood next to enough of you during the national anthem to know that we have some people here who can sing. So we only need 3 more spots. It is pretty important to do. And then we need about 15 more chaperones. And it's not something big or bold or scary that you have to do. Really, it's just walking around with 2 or 3 kids, holding their bags, making sure they feel comfortable. They go up to the stands and they can make things for their friends and family so they have something to give other people and really get to enjoy Christmas. Once again, it's going to be on this upcoming Tuesday, December 9th, 3 to 7. You don't have to be there the whole time. Any amount of time that you can share, we'd greatly appreciate it. There's a QR code. It might have already flashed up there. If it didn't, please put it back up on the screen. Otherwise, you can message anybody, myself, on the Community Service Committee or Greg Carter. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Russell. I promise a good time will be had by all. And next we have a quick announcement from Chris Jordan. You know, Christmas will be here soon, and before you know it, it will be springtime in Fort Worth. And he has an exciting opportunity for May of 2026. Chris.
Thank you. Ryan, count me in on Tuesday. So this came up as an idea last spring with the social committee. And Sue and I have season tickets to Opus Nova. Opus Nova is a small, intimate chamber orchestra. And so they've got members that are part of the Fort Worth Symphony that play in people's homes, okay? So May 4th, we are going to have an event that's kind of to test out, to gauge interest, but we'll have wine, we'll have appetizers. It'll be in a beautiful home in the Cultural District. And it's only $75 a person. And I have 10 tickets here, and you need to come see me after the program today and buy one of these 10 tickets. And they're letting us have these in advance. So once the end of the year is here, we can't get them anymore. So I've got 10 tickets that we can buy now. And the May 4th program is going to be an honor to Benny Goodman, but it's going to be some fun Rotarians, incredible music, very intimate setting. So come see me, and I'll hand you a ticket. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Chris. Plan ahead. You may have noticed we have no newscast this week because our newscasters are just overwhelmed with everything that's happening. So we are bringing you not one, but two committee spotlights. Our first committee spotlight is on the program committee. These are the folks who work tirelessly to have the best programs of any Rotary Club, bar none. Presenting their information is their esteemed chairman, Mike Herman, COO of Whitley Penn. Mike?
Thank you, President Ann. Okay, I know you came to the luncheon today to learn more about the Distinguished Program Committee, right? I'm going to keep this 20-minute presentation to the allotted 3 minutes. You can go to the, or I guess I will click, or we go that way? All right. So when you do these committee presentations, the first slide they ask you to have is to recognize your program, your committee, and so I have all the committee members listed here. I served on the committee under Chairman Mitch Reitman for a few years, and now for the last year or so have been the chair. We work a little bit ahead, you'll see in a minute, but of these meetings. Obviously, we're about to start working on our speakers for the next fiscal year of the Rotary Club here. We meet a couple times a year as a committee, and what we focus on is variety, really. Our goal is to provide quality programs at the membership meetings. I hope we've accomplished this goal over this fiscal year that I've been chair, and I know we did before under Mitch's leadership, and I know Joe Michaels told me he chaired this for 4 years, I think, back in time. Yes. There are some categories of programs that these are some of the program categories that we pursue. As you can read there, we receive multiple solicitations almost weekly from all different nonprofit organizations that want to present. We limit these to the ones with the broadest membership interest, is how that is. And then a little shout out to our marketing department at Whitley Penn. I told them some of the speakers we had, some of the entities that have been represented by the speakers we've had over the past year or so, and they put this slide together to jog your memory. And then this is how the sausage is made. That is a picture of a spreadsheet. Being a CPA and accountant, we work with spreadsheets, but I had them do this call out, and these are the speaker ideas. And so people, I mean, I get an email or a call, literally weekly of ideas, or people coming up to me after meetings here or just on the street. And we list them by category. And then when the committee meets, I have them kind of give it a yay, nay, kind of a letter grade A, B, C. If they're a D, they're off the list probably. So, but then I try to assign them to different members to try to make the contact and make the arrangements. And yes, that call out one was for the college football playoffs committee, who will be meeting this week out at the Gaylord, and I've been trying to get somebody from there for a while. May have a lead now, a better lead. Okay. With that, we come up with our programs, and then from time to time we have to juggle because the speaker needs to change dates and things. We have a shared spreadsheet, and it has a tab to log the schedule. The committee does not coordinate certain programs, including the four-way test, the Rotary Minority Business Awards, the annual roast, the Veterans Day program, or as we're having next week, the Festive Follies. Those are kind of special independent committees for each of those programs. But in total, it's about 40 programs a year. We also arrange for club members to be chairman of the day, and of course Aurora and others help us identify good members to be the speaker introductory person or chairperson of the day. And then this schedule, this is our spreadsheet. There we go. But I wanted to just point out that you can see the schedule, and we try with Aurora to keep this up to date. It's on our website, and that's what it looks like. I hope I made it in 3 minutes.
You did.
All right, you're briefed.
Thank you, Mike. You can always count on the CPA for a snappy spreadsheet. Our second committee spotlight today is the Public Image Committee, which is so busy, they have to have two chairmen. Past President Fernando Costa, retired Assistant City Manager, City of Fort Worth, and Candace Metallic, CEO of CTM Professional Services. Fernando and Candace, tell us about the Public Image Committee.
Hello, everyone. I have the honor of co-chairing this committee with our esteemed Fernando Costa, and that's just a joy. Makes the work a lot of fun. So, how do we do this? The purpose of our committee is to coordinate our efforts as a club to present a positive public image, and that falls under the club's strategic goal number 1, which is about increasing brand awareness. Our outcomes, or what we're trying to achieve this year, we want to increase our impact, we want to expand our reach, we want to enhance participant engagement, and we want to increase our ability to adapt. We have a very large committee. We have a very large and hardworking committee. Rather than read all of these names, you can read them on the screen, but I know we have a number of our members here today, so if you are on the Public Image Committee and working hard with us, will you please stand now? This group has been working very hard, and of course we work with Ann and Aurora. We've been working on a number of projects and activities. Each week you see the meetings documented as one of our team gets up and takes the photographs of what's happening. That's headed up by Michelle Krim. And so we are also trying to document activities that are happening and also our service in the community. So you'll see our team members out trying to record and document everything that we're doing. We also have a group in the committee working on a value proposition for the club. So that's coming along pretty well. We should have that by the first of the year. And then we will be able to use that for our marketing subgroup to produce and update our rack cards, other brochures, other written materials. And we'll get that out to all of the club members as well, so you have that handy and you can use that as you see fit in your own work. We have been working with our marketing contractor. She's been doing a lot of the social media each week, so the fun reels and things that you're starting to see are being done by our marketing contractor, and we're working with her. Our next project in the marketing area is putting together a brand kit. So that, since things are changing a bit in terms of Rotary brands, we're putting that together so that all of our committees and anybody using our materials will have that in front of them. Also coming up, we've been working on a bunch of new merchandise. So we have a group working on that. So beyond the t-shirts and beyond the polo shirts that you've seen, we're working on scarves and Yeti cups and umbrellas and all sorts of things. So there's going to be a lot of new fun branded merchandise for our club, and we will show that to you in the early spring. We did work with the Crazy Pants Golf Tournament. We had a number of our committee members who also served on that members to increase brand awareness of the club at that event, and we'll continue to do that. And then we also have conducted, and you've heard a little bit about it, and you're going to hear more in a second, we've conducted a benchmark survey this year. So I'm going to turn it over to Fernando so that he can tell you about that survey.
Thank you, Candace. Well, if we want to improve our public image, then a logical first step is to determine what that image is today. how do local business and civic leaders who are prospective members of our club, how do they perceive the Rotary Club of Fort Worth? And how do those perceptions align with the reality of who we are today? So as you may recall, a few weeks ago, through the leadership of Josh Friend, one of our committee members, we conducted a survey of over 100 individuals in the community. They represent a good cross-section of potential Rotarians, representing a good mix of age, race, ethnicity, gender, and roughly half had attended at least one Rotary meeting over the past 5 years. So while the sample is limited, we think it's a good start to gauge how folks in Fort Worth perceive us. Some of the findings were reaffirming. Clear majorities of the respondents tell us that they are highly aware of our club, that they've actually considered joining us, and that they consider our club to be a good place for networking. On the other hand, we learned some things that warrant our attention. Roughly half have a favorable overall opinion about our club, but 40% were neutral, and almost 10% had an unfavorable opinion. Some describe us in terms that are less than flattering. Roughly a third say that we're expensive, a third say that we're antiquated, and a third say that we're elitist. And not as many as we had expected described us as demographically diverse or relevant or a strong leader in the community. So, how should we interpret these findings? Does our public image reflect who we really are? And how can we achieve our strategic goal of increasing brand awareness? We would ask you to think about these questions and share your thoughts with members of the committee whose names appeared on the slide that Candace shared with you. With your help, I think that we can improve our public image, align it more closely with who we really are, and achieve our strategic goal of increased brand awareness. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Candace and Fernando. I think we have our work cut out for us. These are just 2 of the 18 committees that are responsible for the work of this club. If you aren't yet involved in a committee and would like to get to work with some of your fellow Rotarians, please tell Aurora or me and we'll get you in touch with the committee chairs. This is where the action is at the Rotary Club of Fort Worth, and I think you'll enjoy being part of a committee if you aren't already. Next, it's my honor to present a blue badge to one of our newest members. In fact, he may have completed his 6 acts of service in record time. Congratulations to Ryan the 6th. On his driver's license, it says Ryan Perucci. Thank you, Ryan. This way. Thank you, Ryan. All right, and now for the main event. And I'm happy to tell you, this program was on the A list. You remember what Mike said about A, B, C? Yeah, okay. This was an A-list program. All right. Here serving as chairperson of the day is someone who knows our speaker better than probably anyone else in the world. Corey Harris is the Chief Development Officer, Center for Transforming Lives, and I don't think she had to Google our speaker to find out about his bio. Corey?
Thank you, Madam President. Hello, everyone. It is my distinct honor to introduce my husband. I am his biggest fan. There's no way I could tell you about how great this man is in the short amount of time, so I'm just going to tell you very briefly that, excuse me, I've watched him firsthand for almost 30 years. Coming up this month, actually, we met on a blind date. At the end of the date, he announced to me that he was going to marry me. Within 2 weeks, he had a ring on my finger, and within 8 weeks, we were married. And that was 30 years ago. So I've watched him apply these principles in overcoming adversity, challenges, setting goals that sometimes I'd sit there and go, I'm sorry, what? You're going to do what? And then he'd turn around and he'd do it. I've watched him teach this to four-star generals. I've watched him share this at high school arenas with teenagers. I've watched him share this with boardrooms, and I've witnessed him use it, not just in his professional life, but in his personal life. He has an incredible resume. He has over 14, wait, you're writing 14 and 15 right now, so 13 books published, writing this 14th and his 5th. It's enough to write one book. He's going to write 2 at the same time. I told you, he's an overachiever. He has 7 U.S. patents, one of which is the only control and restraint baton for law enforcement. I could go on and on about his experience in consulting with our government, training special forces in close quarters combat. He's in the Hall of Fame, the Martial Arts Hall of Fame. He created his own system, Rokujitsu, which is also in the Martial Arts Hall of Fame. But I'm most proud of what I see at home, how he fathers, how he friends, and how he loves me. I hope you enjoy what he has to share with you today, because it truly is simple, it's applicable, and it really is something you can apply to your life, to your professional goals, and whatever it is you're wanting to achieve. Chris Harris, everyone.
I will try to live up to that. I'm going to take a 1-hour keynote speech and I'm going to reduce it to 20 minutes without losing any of the important stuff. Raise your hand if you've ever established an important goal and fell short of the finish line. Would you like to know why? There's some common denominators as to why that happens, and I'm going to share them with you. If I were to ask everyone in this room to write down what they believe the difference is between attitude, mindset, and beliefs, I'd get a lot of different answers. And the reason I'd get a lot of different answers is because the social and psychology community don't really always agree on these things. So if you were to Google what is the difference between mindset and attitude, or attitude and beliefs, you're going to get a lot of different opinions. And so the opinions that I'm going to give you today are my opinions. And if you said, well, I read the book called Mindset, or I read this, or I studied this, and that's not what they said, well, I have the microphone for 21 minutes. So I trained Tier 1 Special Forces as a private contractor for 25 years, and that's where I learned a lot of this. They were teaching me as much as I was teaching them, because they are the epitome, when you think of Navy SEALs and Delta and Green Berets, they are the epitome of mental toughness and mindset. And so for the 25 years that I was teaching them, they were teaching me. And so I started to apply those principles into my own life, and they work consistently, over and over. They work. They do not fail. They have never failed me. I have failed them, but those principles have never failed me when applied with discipline. And The first thing we have to understand is, why is mindset so important? I believe that it's important because of this little slide right here. Abraham Maslow, back in, I believe it was 1943, a psychologist, brilliant psychologist, young, and he wrote a theory on human motivation. What motivates people? And he broke it down into this kind of bottom rung of this pyramid, and that was where we were most motivated, and that was when we had physical needs. We needed air, we needed heat, we needed food, we needed water. That's where our motivation is at its greatest. But once we have those needs met, we move up into our safety needs, and that's where we want job security, we want Blue Cross Blue Shield, we want a 401k plan. And once we get that, then we move into basically relationships, social belonging. This is where we start longing for things like friends and significant others and possibly children. And now we move up to esteem. And esteem is important. You know, people always, I've heard people say, hey, job titles don't matter. Well, according to Maslow, they do. They matter a lot. You know, if you thought you were next up for the VP promotion and you got passed over and they hired someone externally and brought them in and gave them the job that you've worked 22 years for, tell me titles don't matter. Okay? Esteem is something that we feel like we've earned, we've worked hard for. And I'm not talking about arrogance and ego. I'm talking about I've worked hard for this and I believe I've earned it. And when we don't get it, it does something to us. But then at the end, and this is what made Maslow's work so remarkable, is that this whole self-actualization thing that like only 1% of the people ever really find and achieve, and the ones that do achieve it rarely hold on to it forever, like you lose it and you got to get it again. But professionally speaking, this self-actualization, professionally speaking, it's basically three things overlapping. One, you love what you do for a living. Two, you're really good at it. And three, you're compensated fairly for it. And that doesn't necessarily mean money. There's people who give their time, but they're compensated fairly for it. And so if you feel like you're compensated fairly for what you do, you love what you do, and you're really good at it, congratulations. Professionally speaking, you've achieved self-actualization. Now, I will say that I believe there's a different self-actualization for spiritual. I think there's another one for physical. But for professional, those are the three. And so we are all climbing, trying to get to that place. Mindset is how you get there. Mindset is the vehicle. Now, Maslow made it very clear, you can't skip steps going up. If you do, your life will be disastrous. We know this. Look at historically the statistics on people who win the lottery, and they go from being lower class or middle class to super wealthy all of a sudden. They skip all these steps and watch what happens to their life within a few short years. But you can skip all of these steps falling back down to the bottom. Okay, we know that. You can go all the way to the top and fall all the way to the bottom and have to start over again. But mindset is the tool, the vehicle that we use to get there, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. So number one, we have to establish goals. Goals are vitally important, but I'm going to tell you something about goals. First and foremost, once you establish the goal, get your eye off the goals. Stop looking at the goals because they'll wreck you, okay? The goals, the greatest benefit that they bring to our life is this. They create the catalyst for creating a system or a process. When you establish a goal, that goal now needs a process for how I'm going to do that. And that is the magic, the process. And in that process, we create these like daily wins and these weekly wins. And that's very important because that's where the dopamine reward comes in. And we need that dopamine reward from those daily wins. But what happens is we create this big goal and then we focus on the goal, and what happens is we have a couple of bad days or a couple of bad weeks and we're all of a sudden feel like we're going the wrong way and we get discouraged and we quit because you were focusing on the goal and not the process. Once you create the process becomes everything, okay? And by the way, goals are very important for another reason. I believe that one of many reasons that we can fall into depression is the absence of hope. When we lose hope, things get dark. And you show me someone who has no hope, I'll show you someone who is void of goals. So one of the reasons I always have goals in front of me is because those goals represent hope of a better tomorrow, a better future, a better me, a better marriage, a better father. So if you don't have goals in your life, ask yourself this: if I had them, would it provide more hope? And if so, that in itself makes goals worthwhile. But now we move into hope. Hope is a powerful thing. And there was it's a dark study, and it's one of those things I have to say up front, okay? A cruel, dark study, but we learned so much from it. And it was in the 1950s, and it was a professor at Johns Hopkins University, and his name was Kurt Birch, Professor Kurt Birch, Kurt Richter, okay? And if you want to look him up. But this study, it's called the drowning rat study. And he took a bucket and he put some rats in a bucket filled with water, and he wanted to see how long before they would give up hope and just start to sink. And it was about 15 minutes. They would just give up and just start to sink. And so he would take them out of the bucket, dry them off, let them rest, and put them back in the bucket. But now they have experienced the hope of being rescued. When he put them back in the bucket, a lot of those rats were treading water for up to 60 hours, days. And the only difference was they had experienced the power of the hope of being rescued. You know, I used to say, hey, no one's coming to save you. No one's coming to save you. I heard of this study, and I'm like, I need to quit saying that. Because what I'm really telling people is, you should have no hope. So, you know what? Hope is a powerful thing. When all of a sudden, somebody reaching in and just extending that hand in that moment of need, and all of a sudden, you go from 15 minutes to 60 hours, I think we can learn a lot about that. And maybe not the hope that we have for ourselves, but maybe the hope that we can extend to those who are in need of hope. I look at what, you know, my wife and Carol here are doing. They're in the business of hope. And that's a beautiful business to be in. Motivation. Let me tell you what motivation is not. It's not a spark that gets you off center and gets you moving. If that's what motivation, I don't like it when people call me a motivational speaker. That just makes me think I'm selling cotton candy and funnel cake at the fair. That's about how long external motivation lasts. We need intrinsic motivation, the kind that comes from within. And I'm telling you that we don't get motivated and then do it. It's the other way around. Motivation is not the spark. Motivation is the result of getting up and doing the things you don't want to do. I don't want to do this. I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to put my tennis shoes on and walk 2 miles around the block. I don't want to eat that salad. I want to eat that cake or whatever it is. And we make a decision that we're going to do the thing we don't want to do because we're looking at the process that we created when we established this goal. We created this process, and in that process there's these daily wins. And all of a sudden I'm about to do something or not do something that at the end of the day is going to change what I say. Because at the end of the day, you're going to say one of two things. Today was a successful day as it relates to my goals. Or you're going to say today was not a successful day as it relates to my goals. And so when you do the things that you know you need to do to establish or to basically win and hit those goals, even though you don't want to do it, then motivation is the reward. Because what happens is you get the dopamine reward. You know, the thing that people are out there trying to get through alcohol and drug addiction and all the other things they're doing. What they're doing is they're trying to create this dopamine reward that is yours for free. You just got to do the things you don't want to do. And then what happens is you do that thing and now you want to do it again because that felt really good. And the next thing you know, you have all the makings of a habit. Motivation is not the spark. It is the result of doing that which you do not want to do that aligns with your goals. Attitudes. All right, so we've established a goal. And once we establish a goal, and by the way, when I say mindset, what I'm really talking about is this. I'm talking about having the right mindset as it relates to accomplishing an established goal. It's very difficult for anyone to have a great mindset in all areas of their life. I've met some of the most, just mentally tough people you've ever met. But that doesn't mean that they're mentally tough in every area of their life. I hope they are. But look, you take a look at some of these elite special forces. They are the epitome of mental toughness. But that doesn't mean their marriage necessarily is great. It doesn't mean their finances are great. It doesn't mean their relationships are great. It doesn't mean they're filled with hope at the end of the day. It means that as it relates to that, they've got it dialed in. And so, look, if we can have the right mindset in all these different areas of our life, physically and mentally and spiritually, that's great. But what I'm talking about today is establishing the right mindset as it relates to an established goal that you've set, and now you want to make sure that you cross the finish line in victory. Well, then I got to make sure I have the right mindset to do that. And so here's where we fall short right here. Attitudes, and I'm going to go back to goals for a minute, because here's where we miss it on goals. As soon as you establish a goal, I would encourage you to write down a couple of things. Number one is this. What is the number one thing that I know about myself from my past? My hang-ups, my trauma, my triggers, whatever it is, my limiting beliefs. What is it I know about myself that is most likely going to derail me from crossing that finish line of this goal? And if you get honest with yourself, you'll write it down. What is the most likely iceberg that's going to derail this thing and cause this Titanic to sink before I cross the finish line in victory? And write it down. And then when you're done writing it down, then write something else down. What is the root of it? And then when you write down what is the root of it, write down one more thing. What am I going to do to make sure that it does not beat me this time? That's how you establish goals. You establish goals with the plateau in mind. And you build that thing around the plateau. So now we have attitudes. And once you establish a goal, every attitude that you have will either be destructive or productive as it relates to that goal. If your attitude is working, it's in alignment with you achieving that goal, then it's a productive attitude. If that attitude is against you achieving that goal, it becomes a destructive attitude. I'll give you an example. If you truly want to transform your body, not just lose weight, not just, get a little muscle tone, whatever, but if you want to transform your body, it takes three things working consistently side by side together. All right? Diet, nutrition, little cardio, little resistance training. When you have all three, you can transform your body. All right, so if you say, all right, I'm going to get up at 5 a.m. and I'm going to start going to the gym and I'm going to change my diet, but I ain't doing no damn cardio. Okay, well, guess what's going to be the destructive attitude that becomes the plateau? Because you're going to go to the gym and you're going to get on the scale and you're going to love it because the first few weeks you're losing. And then all of a sudden, because you're not doing the cardio too, you're going to get on the scale one day and you're going to go, I gained 2 pounds. Are you kidding me? And if that becomes the pattern, eventually you're going to quit going to the gym at 5 a.m. because we need to see results. We need daily wins. Well, that destructive attitude of I don't do cardio is now the plateau. When you say, oh, I keep hitting these plateaus before I cross the finish line. Well, the plateau is the destructive attitude. It's the one thing you said you wouldn't do. Find what that is, focus on that, and watch what happens. So, mindset is this. Mindset is when all of the attitudes that are relative to achieving that goal are aligned with one another. There's no rogue, destructive attitudes. They're all team players. They're not the Dallas Cowboys. You don't just have 11 wonderful, talented players on the field doing their own thing for their own reasons. You have 11 people firing on one cylinder with one shared purpose, winning. Not them winning, the team winning. You know, one of the strongest gifts that the special forces have that make them so indomitable is what's called relative superiority. Look, if I know that I can go into an MMA cage and I can beat you in a fight, well, that's one thing. That's mindset. I know if I get in the cage with you, I'm going to beat you. That's mindset. But when the opponent knows that if that person gets in the cage, there's no way I can beat them, that's relative superiority. It's when your opponent, your enemy, your adversary knows they can't beat you, and you haven't had to say a word. Well, you know where their relative superiority comes from? The greatest fighting force in the world, the U.S. Special Forces. Their relative superiority comes from their shared purpose. That's what makes them so hard to beat. Their shared purpose. And when you make your attitudes all aligned with one shared purpose, you become unstoppable. And then lastly, perspective. Everyone in this room has a superpower. You actually have two. One is your perspective. You can change your perspective right now. Blink of an eye. Make it whatever you want. It's yours, regardless of circumstances. When I was a little boy, I was 10 years old. The FBI, the police, everybody came. I mean, it was a big deal. They had scheduled it. They'd been staking out my mom. She was a big heroin addict. She was a drug dealer for the biker gang. I mean, she was doing a lot of really bad stuff, and they had been staking her out for a long time. And they took her to prison. They took my sisters, who were both, one was 1 year older than me, the other was 2 years older than me. Child Protective Services took them one way. They took me in another car another way. We never lived under the same roof again. If years later, and both of my sisters turned out just like my mother, okay? Years later, if you would have asked my sisters, how did your lives turn out so horrible? They would have squared you in the eye, and with all the passion and resolve of their faith, they would have said, well, that's easy because my mom was a drug dealer. If that same person would turn and look at me and say, Chris, how'd your life turn out so wonderfully? I'd say, that's easy. My mom was a drug dealer. Same circumstances, we chose a different perspective. And then the second thing is this. Your second superpower is the ability to forgive, to let go. I don't know how you can establish goals and create a mindset and get rid of destructive attitudes if you're walking around holding unforgiveness in your heart. I don't know how. Look, you're trying to climb this mountain that very few people climb, and you're trying to get to the very top and the pinnacle so that once you get there, you can throw down the rope and help others up. That's what you're trying to do, right? It's hard enough as it is. Don't think for a minute you can do it pulling a wagon filled with false idols. Because that's what unforgiveness is. It's just worshiping your idols. Thank you.
Chris, we really appreciate your words, very inspiring. And as a member of our club, you know that we make a contribution in your honor to Rotary International's Polio Plus program. So here's a memento of that, and again, thank you so much. I told you it was on the A list. In closing, remember that January through June 2026 membership dues are due, and you can make Aurora very happy by getting them in today. There's 1 week left in our election for the 2026-2028 Board of Directors. If you haven't voted, please do so. Voting closes next Thursday. Remember the 4-way donor initiative. Let's build our endowment so we can do more. And remember that any gift you make up to a total of $10,000 in total is going to be matched dollar for dollar. Next week is our annual Festive Follies, a holiday celebration. Come early for eggnog and punch, beginning at 11 a.m., then sit back and enjoy a holiday lunch and program. And I hear that Ed and the social committee have quite the program planned. So that's 4 things to remember. pay, vote, give, and party hardy. All right, have a great week, and we'll see you on the 12th. The meeting is adjourned.